Hi guys, and welcome back. Oh, I'm sorry guys if the camera keeps shaking. My dog's underneath the table, so I apologize. But today guys, I want to do a video today talking about bearded dragon. Okay, so I want to talk about bearded dragons. Bearded dragons are a native to the Australian, and they were introduced to the United States within the mid-90s. Their popularity as a pet has dropped about like 2% within the last couple of years. They come from a very dry climate. Now with a bearded dragon, you want to make sure you have the essentials, you know, like you want to make sure you know the proper foods to feed them, you want to have the proper tools that you're going to need. Now with bearded dragons, they range from different sizes. They say, you know, the bigger they are, the bigger the habitat that you want for them. For instance, you know, like if they're about like 20 inches or plus, you want to go like 100 to 150 gallon tank, you know, stuff like that. The smaller they are, you can go like a 20. You don't want to go less than a 20 gallon, you can go. Now, some, you know, they will tell you that if you don't want to put them in a tank, you can also build your own little habitat for them. There's all kinds of things that you can use for their habitat. So you can just look that up online or whatever. Now, like the same thing with frogs, they have to have one heated side and one cool side on the tank. You want to make sure that they do have that. You know, you want to make sure it's between 90 and 93 degrees on one side. You don't want to use a household standard light bulb. There is special light bulbs that they have to have. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say that's false, that's a lie. No, it's not. I was asked, because I went to the pet store because I was getting some stuff for our hamsters, and I asked them because they had a bearded dragon that was sitting there, and I was just asking a few things, and they said you can't use a household light bulb, you have to use a special light bulb, and it has to be on top of their tank. You know, you want to make sure one side is heated and then the other side is cool, between like 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. You want to make sure that. And then at night, you want to turn the light off and let it cool down. So you want to also, like I said, you want to make sure that you, like at night, you want to turn the light off so it kind of cools down to, you know, not too cool, but you want it to be just the right temperature for the heat. You also want to make sure you have a spray bottle on hand. You want to make sure you spray moisture in there. You want to put some rocks and some plants and different things like that for your bearded dragon. You also want to make sure that it's like a natural habitat, because you know it's the natural outside that they are used to. That is something you want to keep for them here. Food wise, you want to feed them, let me get my notes here, guys. Okay, let me grab my notes, because I wanted to make sure that I did get everything correct, and I wanted to make sure that I read it right. Okay, now for the notes that I asked the pet store guy, he said that for bearded dragons need a varied diet. They require a mixture of insects and worms. He said this is what you feed them all the time. You feed them either crickets, phoenix worms, hornworms, butterworms, or superworms. He said those are what you feed them on a daily basis. You know, you feed them that. He said you can also, as an option, you can feed them this. It's not required. You don't have to, but you can. You can feed them collard greens, turnip greens, mustard greens, butternut squash, okra, yellow squash, sweet potato, mango, and papaya. You can feed them that. It is not required to feed them as their normal diet. You just make sure they get their insects and their worms. That's what they are to eat. But you can feed them those other things. The other things that you want to avoid and not feed them that is not safe, that my favorite guy at Petco, where I go shopping at, he is awesome. He is just a sweetheart. So, yeah. He says that you cannot feed them lettuce, spinach, avocado, wild caught insects. You cannot just feed them insects from outside. You cannot feed them citrus fruits or rhubarb. You cannot feed them that. That is a big no-no. You will hurt them. You could kill them. But with the other, like collard greens and stuff like that, you could feed that, you know, if you wanted to. It's not a requirement. But they do need their worms and their, you know, crickets and stuff like that. He said bearded dragons are really easy pets. They're not really hard to take care of. They're not high maintenance or anything. As long as you just, you know, have their proper care like you do with any animal. You just want to make sure that the humidity level is perfect, that they're comfortable. You want to, and he also said for a fun thing he said another thing you want to make sure is that their food bowl or their water bowl, you want to make sure that it's very shallow, because the bigger the bowl is, the more humidity it'll be in there, and you don't want to cause too much more humidity in there for the bearded dragon. So he said basically, he said it's real easy to take care of them. They're fun to have, and he said they're just very interesting animals. You know, they don't require a lot of maintenance, a lot of care, you know, just the essentials that you have to have, and that's about it, you know. And he said just have fun and enjoy your bearded dragon is what he said. I tell everybody, you know, they're fun. So that's what I've learned, and I wanted to share that with you guys about bearded dragons, because he said if you have a like a pet frog or a lizard, it's the same thing, you know. You just make sure that they have their proper temperature and all that stuff, you're good to go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys learned something, and you know, it inspired you or something to go out and get yourself a bearded dragon. Enjoy your little bearded dragon friend. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that bell so you'll be notified when Xavier and I upload a video, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so we can become friends. And if you guys didn't hear it from me, it's not the truth. Bye!